Welcome to Motorsport on 4 from Silverstone, and the last stop in the calendar for the British Formula 3s and GTs. And in this programme we're going to be doing something a little bit different, because we're going to be running on from this bright autumn afternoon for the Formula 3s into the dark of the night for the thundering GTs. And in the natural progression of things, as night follows day, we're going to be starting with the Formula 3s. And a quick look back at their last race from Brands Hatch.
So here we are with a panoramic view overlooking the complex at the end of the lap on the Silverstone International Circuit. The first corner you can see over in the distance is Bridge Corner, one of the fastest on the circuit. Absolutely flat out in an F3 car and just a slight lift in a GT car. That's followed immediately by one of the few left-handers on the lap, Priaulx, which is down 1 or 2 gears and fairly heavy braking, but a very good overtaking spot. Cars normally move to the right to take the ideal line, and you can nip inside them under braking. That's followed fairly quickly afterwards by Brooklands here, the second left-hander. One of the slowest corners on the circuit, down another 2 gears. A very tight corner, and it's frequently you'll get understeer through that corner. Exit Brooklands into Luffield, the final corner on the lap. A very long corner and a frustrating corner, because the tendency is to put the throttle on early in the corner to get a good exit onto the pit straight. But that often gives understeer, meaning you have to lift again. A good exit from there will lead you onto the start-finish line and to start a new lap. Now let's have a look at a complete lap on board with Takuma Sato. Okay, so here we are on the grid then, awaiting the start of the first round of this year's F3 Championship. Select first gear, plenty of revs on the engine, just bouncing on the rev limiter. Car in front just creeping a little, that's Jamie Spence. Reasonable start. On the right-hand side there, James Courtney and Paul Edwards in the docking car. They're fighting quite hard as we approach Copse Corner. 4th gear, having to lift and brake there, drifting out wide now, use all the width of the road. Still fighting hard for the lead there in front of us. Approaching Maggots, probably the fastest corner on the lap. Slight lift, down 1 gear, normally don't change down there. Having a go, and down to 3rd for Beckett's Corner. Very important exit speed here onto the back straight. Quite a lot of understeer on Sato's car, so he's lost a bit of ground. 4th gear, and into 5th gear. Just check the mirrors on the back straight now. Adjusting his visor, approaching the braking area for Abbey, very, very bumpy here. Down 3 gears to 2nd gear, and through goes Andy Priaulx in another docking car. He's still there on the left-hand side, you can just see him. 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th, approaching Bridge Corner, which as I said should be flat on the throttle, no lift there. Approaching Priaulx, left-hander. Off on the outside goes James Courtney, which, yes, Sato just nips through on the inside at Brooklands. 2nd gear, up to 3rd for Luffield, the final corner. Long, long corner, he's waiting. A lot of understeer in the car there. Picking the throttle up now and exiting out onto Woodcote. And that's the end of the first racing lap at Silverstone International Circuit with Takuma Sato.
James Courtney won the season opener at Silverstone for Jaguar, and the team had a good chance of repeating the feat with the 2 drivers sharing the front row.
Oh, well, it's the wrong way around for me, but it's good for the team. Seems it's all packing in at the end of tomorrow, so I think it's good that they get 1 too.
Teammate André Lotterer was even more delighted. He claims his 3rd pole position of the season.
That was good.
Yeah, it was brilliant. After the pre-practice, I know we had a very good car, so we just had to improve a couple of things, and we just hit it right, and I was able to hit the best lap I could do. I tried hard afterwards, and I couldn't beat that, so now it was just a perfect lap.
meant the Carlin pair were pushed back to 3rd and 5th, even though Anthony Davidson had won the Masters at Spa the previous weekend.
In the scholarship class, title favourite Robbie Kerr was feeling the pressure, qualifying back in 6th. His only challenger for the title, Matthew Gilmore, pressed home his challenge with pole position.
Well, I'm not going to give it away, and I'm going to give it my best shot, and that's all that I can do.
Obviously very happy with the car.
Yes, we had it this morning, it was good, and we lost it in the second session, but we managed to drag it back now, so the car's very, very good.
Ironically, an all-Jaguar front row for the first time this season at their last race weekend. Manor Motorsport's Derek Hayes sits between the Carlin drivers in 4th place. Alan Docking Racing's Andy Priaulx is in 6th.
In scholarship, the 4 cars between Gilmore and Kerr are the Ulsterman's chief allies in his quest to bridge the points gap to his English rival.
So the 2 Jaguars head up the field for this weekend at Silverstone, which is a brilliant way to start, bearing in mind their current uncertainties. But there is still a championship to be won, and that's for the scholarship guys. Robbie Kerr is 11 points clear of Matthew Gilmore, but is starting in 6th place as opposed to Gilmore's pole position. What's going to happen? Martin Haven can tell us.
Thanks, Amanda. Well, the crowd all wrapped up warm against the cold autumn air, and the track looking damp and slippery. Well, let's see who makes the best start in the treacherous going. Everybody going for wet tyres, and probably wisely so. They get the green, away go the front row men nice and evenly, but Sato goes between them. Very slow start for Davidson, but a quick getaway for Andy Priaulx, the white car between the 2 Jaguars, and Hayes recovering from a tardy getaway, looking to go inside Courtney as Priaulx goes around the outside in the scholarship class. Matt Gilmore desperately trying to make sure he makes it through the first corner in one piece, because there it could all go wrong. In front of him goes Michael Keohan. He'll have to be careful not to lose any more scholarship places. And that's Robbie Kerr in front of him. Kerr, the points leader, has come from 5 spots behind him as off goes Alex Gurney. The scholarship men go through behind him, and Kerr has got in front of Gilmore. That's a disaster for Gilmore. Disaster for the Jaguar drivers as well is how far ahead Sato is already. Oh, and off goes Derek Hayes, hit from behind. Then didn't quite see who that was, though.
André Lotterer going through the gravel. I think he was the one that hit Derek Hayes. So disaster indeed for the Jaguar team, with one of their cars out, the other one under pressure here from Andy Priaulx.
Priaulx going the brave way around the outside, but almost too brave for his own good as Courtney ran out of it there. Somebody else went off behind them, showing you just how treacherous it is. And, well, Courtney does lose the place in the end. He just couldn't get on the power.
Yeah, that was a great move from Priaulx, though, all the way around the outside, off into the gravel trap. Also has gone Yamamoto. That's at Priaulx. We've got another battle going on here between Gilmore and Katsumata, but back here on board with Gilmore, still trying to make that place.
Well, the conditions we saw from Matt's camera in the midfield at the start were absolutely appalling. No visibility at all. How Robbie Kerr got through, I'm not entirely sure. But was that damage to Kerr's nose wing as we saw him go through? Well, there is the number 1 Manor Motorsport car. Derek Hayes crunches away from that one. Sad end to this penultimate race for him on the first lap.
And we're on board with James Courtney and chasing after Andy Priaulx. You can see, listen, can't get the power on early at all through Brooklands, and now has to wait as he comes round Luffield looking for grip, and here comes Anthony Davidson attacking.
Well, Courtney got that corner wrong last time, and again this time. Halfway through, he suddenly finds there's no grip and the car's pushing right out to the outside. Davidson did have the grip, came inside him, and Ben, they may have had a great dry setup, but the Jaguars look horrendous in the wet.
Yeah, you could see he was correcting it all the way through Woodcote, and the Jaguar team not at all happy to see this happening. As you say, Martin, I think that car's just not set up for these conditions.
Well, I wonder if they were anticipating that it would dry out quicker or be less wet at the start. Maybe the race will come to them if conditions do dry, but at the moment, you can't see that happening. And there is Kerr. Look, he has got a damaged left front nose wing. A glimmer of hope there for Matt Gilmore, but Gilmore's still behind him. Between them is Jeffrey Jones. He's in the championship class, so effectively he doesn't exist. But, of course, Gilmore has to get past him before he can attack Kerr, and then try and put some more cars between him and Kerr somehow in the scholarship class. It's a tough time for Matt Gilmore, but I think Robbie Kerr will probably realise he is in desperate trouble. Oh no!
That's no. Gilmore and Kerr out together.
Just what Matt Gilmore did not need to do, and Robbie Kerr will be angry with that. Matt Gilmore certainly didn't take him out on purpose, but Kerr going, what were you thinking of? Oh, and formation spinning as Doornbos and Judas make contact at Copse. That's a quick place to touch wheels in any conditions.
Let's take a look at the first accident. Matt Gilmore right behind Jones and Kerr, very wide through bridge, all using the wet line up on the outside. Now Gilmore goes down the inside of Jones, Kerr turning in late for grip, but Gilmore's gone in too quick, collides with Kerr and takes them both out of the equation. That's really bad news for Gilmore chasing that title.
Well, Robbie, what happened?
Well, I got an awesome first lap, straight up into second. I was battling with Michael, but unfortunately one of the A-class guys decided to cut straight across in front of me and, well, damaged my front wing, but I was still running a good second, and I don't know really what happened. I looked in my mirror to see Matt coming from nowhere, trying to overtake, I think, about 3 cars, and just plowing straight into the side of me at Priaulx. So I think Matt's a bit wound up this weekend to try and win this championship, just because his pole didn't go his way. That's it.
But Jones was having a good go at him. Jones had a go at him coming through bridge. He blocked him. Jones braked and I had nowhere else to go, but I went up the inside. So I went up the inside and thought I had a chance of getting up the inside Robbie and come on the power, and the whole thing just got a bit wrong.
Well, that was a pretty honest assessment, I'd say, by Matt Gilmore. Just made a simple mistake. Safety car is out to clear up the accidents, but it has not picked up the leader, Takuma Sato. That's Andy Priaulx in second place behind the safety car, and then Anthony Davidson. So Sato has been missed and is somewhere off in the distance. Now the team will have to get on the radio to him and ask him to slow right down, which is something drivers don't like doing. Radiators on these cars will only keep the engines under control if they're running in moving air, and also then, of course, on a cold, wet surface, the tyre temperatures will plummet.
That's right, we've got another look at an incident that took Mail and Nakao's cars off, but let's just take a look at what happened. Well, that was all a bit strange, wasn't it? From a long, long way back, Nakao trying to go down the inside into Priaulx. Looked as though both of those could have made that a little easier than it was in the end.
Lights out on the safety car, ready to go green at the end of this lap. There is Sato ahead of Priaulx and Davidson, and the drivers will be desperately trying to keep some temperature in the tyres. Sato weaving and spins at 20 miles an hour, or probably less. And, oh dear, that won't go down very well with Trevor Carlin, the team boss, I don't think. He'll have been annoyed that Sato wasn't picked up by the safety car, but look how cold the tyres are, how little grip Andy Priaulx has as he stabs the throttle coming out of Luffield to head to the line. They do get the green flag. It's racing again. Priaulx leads, Davidson in second place, and then a huge gap back to Courtney. That's because he's had to pass a lapped car, Roland Kinch, the blue machine there, as Gianmaria Bruni does as well, and you are not allowed to pass until you pass the green flag at the start-finish line. What a break then for Priaulx and for Davidson in second place. James Courtney with a mountain now to climb through no fault of his own, and Sato, well, it was a bit of a whoops right at the back of the field as he gets going again.
Now look at Mark Taylor diving down the inside of Jimmy Bruni here. That's a good move, but look how slippery it is, Martin. We saw Sato make that mistake. You know, when the temperatures are this cool and the track is damp, sometimes there's nothing more slippery than this, and you can see these drivers struggling to hang on in these conditions. Let's just watch them up through Priaulx here. You can see Mark Taylor taking a wide line, not going anywhere near the apex, and Bruni just following him there. They're both looking for grip, and the conventional racing line doesn't always work. Again, they're miles off the inside curve, the apex there, trying to find a bit more traction. Let's watch them at Luffield. Again, very wide here. Look, almost out to the grass. You have to be careful when you're pushing this wide that you don't go too far out and put a wheel over the grass. Trying to stay off the curb, though, on the exit, because, of course, they get very, very slippery in these conditions.
Not often you applaud racing drivers for driving in the middle of the road, but that's what you need to do in these conditions. Courtney in third, that is the battle for fourth. Here is the battle for the lead, though, onto the last lap at Beckett. And Davidson very close indeed to Andy Priaulx. Here is Courtney at the same place. Oh, in too fast, just has a little slide as he gets on the brakes. Holds on to that one, but he'll lose third place. Mark Taylor goes through, and Taylor onto the podium again, if he can hold it on to the end of the lap, that is. But has Davidson got a chance? I don't think he has. Priaulx acknowledged to be very good in the wet, and oh, that wide line always looks as though they've lost it, and actually I think he may just have overcooked it under braking there, but he holds on, accelerates out nicely. The checkered flag will wait, and this will be a good start to the Silverstone weekend. Andy Priaulx wins race one, Davidson in second place. And there's his wife, Jo, celebrating in the BRDC race centre where she works. The Alan Docking crew on the pit wall, justifiably delighted. And a win in the scholarship class for Michael Keohan as well. He celebrates there. Confirmation of the result sees Mark Taylor equaling his best of the year. James Courtney second on the grid to fourth in the race. He'll be disappointed with that.
In scholarship, Michael Keohan finished ahead of Justin Sherwood, with Hoshino in third, ahead of Premack, Kinch and Scott.
The delighted Jo Priaulx waits to greet her husband.
I made a stonking start, just got it right. I was in third into the first corner while I was fourth, and I took Hayes around the outside at Copse, and then I did the same with Courtney around the outside at Luffield on the first lap, and then thanks to Taku, a nice little spin at the end, and handed me the win, so I'm very, very pleased.
And I just finally the Priaulx and into the first gear so slow, and my tire had got freezing and cold, completely cold. Just stepped on the throttle and whoop, fun, and I just couldn't believe it, but anyway.
Well, you're laughing about it, and
Yeah.
these things, I suppose, do happen. It's called motor racing. Bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck, so I'm gonna win next race, definitely.
Well, round 25 certainly gave us a truly exciting race. Can 26 be any better? Find out after the break.
Welcome back to Silverstone, the track wet but drying in final qualifying for the second of our Formula 3 races. That didn't affect the battle for pole much. Takuma Sato dominant for most of the session, and behind him his teammate Anthony Davidson looked a likely bet until right at the end when Jimmy Bruni drove a brilliant lap.
And I'm very happy for the team. I hope to win the last race and, you know, make me happy and the team happy.
In the scholarship class, Michael Keohan led for virtually the whole session until Matthew Gilmore grabs his fourth pole in a row on the very last lap.
Final pole position of the year in the championship class for Takuma Sato, but by just 2/1000ths of a second over Jimmy Bruni. Row 2 sees Anthony Davidson line up with James Courtney. Wet weather specialist Andy Priaulx qualifying 5th ahead of Hayes.
In the scholarship battle, Matt Gilmore keeps his title hopes alive ahead of Keohan and Kerr, with Anani Judis, Justin Sherwood and Robert Doornbos in the top 6.
So, following a very entertaining wet race this morning, the second race of the day is held in beautiful afternoon sunshine that we all could only have hoped for. But there is still a championship to be decided, but realistically, Robbie Kerr just has to bring it home, stay out of trouble, and he'll be going back with the prize money. But then, this is the last race of the season, and everybody wants to make a mark. What's going to happen? It's over to Martin and Ben.
Thanks, Amanda. Well, Robbie Kerr, champion-elect in scholarship, qualified in third, positioned directly behind Gilmore.
Takuma Sato, pole position already. He is the championship class champion for 2001. And as Amanda said, everybody will want to win this one. Away they go. Great start from Gianmaria Bruni from second place on the grid. What a getaway. Takuma Sato will not be able to better him into the first corner, surely. Bruni leads, Sato second. Third place Anthony Davidson as the rest of them stream through the corner, and there is Keohan alongside Gilmore. Robbie Kerr right behind them. The scholarship class battle is already alight. Gianmaria Bruni said he wanted to win this race for the team. I wonder if Sato will let him. The Japanese already looking for a way through. And then further back, three abreast at the head of the championship field. Keohan and Gilmore still in front of Kerr as they come through the island bends. Somebody slow in front of them, but look at Sato. He is desperate to find a way by. He really is so inventive at overtaking. Lock up from Bruni. He holds on to the lead for the moment. Scholarship guys go through. Gilmore and Keohan with Kerr behind them. So Robbie Kerr third in the class at the moment. That's safe for him. But look at that. That lock-up at Abbey cost Gianmaria Bruni the lead. Sato did get through on acceleration into Bridge.
Yeah, now we're riding on board with Mark Taylor. He qualified in 13th. He's now 11th. And just pushing his way hard now, trying to dive down the inside here into Brooklands, the left-hander, getting past Alex Gurney, and now into Luffield, trying to hold it tight, just gets a little bit off the apex there. Now clips it again, hard on the power, up into 10th place for Taylor.
Good move by him. Matt Gilmore with Robbie Kerr right behind him now. Kerr has just gone through the shot behind Gilmore, and that is enough to win him the championship. All he needs to do is stay there. Gilmore can't do anything about it.
Back on board with Mark Taylor, using a bit of curve both on the apex and on the exit, as well as he tries to close up to Phil Keebler. Now, Phil Giebler's taken over the ride of Jamie Spence this weekend. A lot of dirt coming off his car. I don't quite know where that's come from. Being splattered back into the visor of Mark Taylor, but that shouldn't cause any problems. Meanwhile, there's a stop-and-go penalty, and that's for Andy Priaulx.
Yeah, winner of the first race, and let's find out why. On the green flag lap, he stalled and got away last. Now, unfortunately, he decided then he'd resume his grid position, which is a definite no-no. He should have started at the back, but didn't.
Now we're in fourth place with James Courtney coming down to Copse, up to about 145 miles an hour before entering this very fast corner. Up front, it's Takuma Sato still leading. We're riding with Mark Taylor. He's up to 9th place now through Copse, and that's André Lotterer who's gone wide just ahead of him. So Taylor now into 8th position.
Ahead of him, Rob Austin and Derek Hayes. And he's closing on them as well, through Maggots, down to Beckett's, braking hard, changing down into second gear, and then hard on the gas now here, all the way through to Abbey, sweeping your way through the Ireland bends. And into the pits comes Andy Priaulx to serve his stop-and-go penalty. And unfortunately, that has really ruined his race.
Great shame after that victory in race 1 in tricky conditions. Look at Mark Taylor, still trying to make up more ground. This is Philippe Giebler right ahead of him now, and he's made contact. He's hit the back of him.
I thought he was going to hold on there for a moment, but I think he just lost control of it under power. And the Man of Motorsport man also goes off, the Duma racing car there. And Giebler sitting in the middle of the track, on the edge, but a little bit of a dangerous position for that.
Bruni and Davidson battling at Abbey. Davidson looking to the outside, then to the inside, and he passes neatly. Good job that from Anthony Davidson. Bruni still fighting back.
Well, Bruni very quick indeed in qualifying and early in the race, but it looks once more as if the Car in Motorsport setup is a better one than anybody else has managed. Look how far Takuma Sato is ahead, although he's smoking a little bit there as he gets off the gas turning into Luffield. Very wide indeed, very wide indeed. Oh, my goodness me. Way out there, 2 wheels on the curb and then 4 on the grass. Now, that is the sort of mistake that you do not need to be making when you're leading the last race of the season.
But it's typical of him. Oh, and there's more contact further back. That's Priaulx hitting Hoshino. Well, Priaulx, of course, desperate trying to make up ground after that stop-and-go penalty. Hoshino was 5th in the scholarship class and now looks to be out altogether.
And into the pits comes Andy Priaulx, this time for another self-enforced error, this time making the mistake, hitting Hoshino, and unfortunately ruining Hoshino's race as well as his own. And I think that will be the end of the season for Andy Priaulx.
Meanwhile, the Carlin team watching on the pit wall, waiting for another 1-2 finish. It really has been an amazing season for this team.
Dominant performance by the drivers. Takuma Sato from the beginning of the season has been one of the key factors in the championship, and Anthony Davidson has been such a strong number 2 as well. Robbie Kerr under pressure from Michael Kyohan in the scholarship class. This is the battle for 3rd. That's good enough. 4th is good enough for Kerr as well, even if Matt Gilmore does win. There's Robbie Kerr's mum with Fred Goddard in the cap, the team boss. As out of the final corner for the last time in 2001 comes Takuma Sato, the checkered flag for the last race for the champion. How did she get up there? Next thing you know, she'll be in the Sunday supplements. Amanda flags the final race of the year, and Robbie Kerr, well, let him go, Robbie. Oh no, don't risk any more damage. Michael Kyohan will not finish in 3rd place. Robbie Kerr, well, maybe he shouldn't have been battling that corner there. 4th would have been good enough. I'm not sure that his mum can wait for this race to finish. Pat Kerr really having a fit of the vapors. Matt Gilmore will win the race, but not the championship. Robbie Kerr has survived that last lap clash. Only just. He comes to the line in the Fred Goddard car looking slightly second-hand. 3rd place is good enough. He wins the championship. Finally, his mum can breathe again, and Fred Goddard offers a welcome shoulder for her.
He wins it by just 2 points. That's relief for Chris Ball, the team manager.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm just over the moon. But it's been a brilliant year. It's been a tough year, but we've done it. We've done it in the end. Excellent. I'm absolutely.
The champion wins the last race of the year from his teammate, with Bruni 3rd ahead of Courtney, Davis and Hayes.
In scholarship, Matt Gilmore takes the final win of the season, but that 3rd place absolutely crucial for Robbie Kerr, who takes the title.
Now, Robbie, many, many congratulations winning the championship. But what happened on the last lap there?
Michael made a lunge. I let him go past, but I still had to turn into the corner, and he overshot and just clipped my front wing. But I can't thank the team enough. Once again, we had to repair the car between the first and the second race, well, first and second qualifying compared to Banzaps. They did an excellent job, went back out there, sat there and just really cruised. I cannot say, it's really, really good feeling now, really good feeling. I'm so glad to win all season for everything with Car Motorsport since 2000. It's really, really nice time, really good memory.
And what would you say to Trevor, who's just coming in next door to you?
I mean, just we had so many good time, really, really good time, really good time. I'm so pleased, so pleased.
Now, Trevor, you're going to be sad to see him go.
Well, what do you think? It's obvious, but then he's outgrown us, so he's off to Formula One and going to do the same thing there, I hope.
So at the end of the season, Davidson in second place, ahead of Derek Hayes, James Courtney taking fourth, Gianmaria Bruni fifth, and Priaulx sixth.
Robbie Kerr takes the scholarship title, and with it he wins £125,000 that should help him progress.
Well, Ben, what about progression? How would you rate the class of 2001?
You have to say that Takuma Sato's a worthy champion this year. He deserves to go straight into Formula One with Jordan. His closest rivals were three first-year men, Anthony Davidson, James Courtney and Derek Hayes. Davidson, the quickest behind Sato, but he was part of that all-conquering Carlin team. James Courtney had beaten Davidson in Formula Ford, but couldn't quite match him in Formula 3 as Jaguar struggled to succeed. Derek Hayes started strongly, but didn't seem to show the racing aggression I would have expected after his performance in Formula Renault. Of the second-year men, Andy Priaulx shone at times, but also made some mistakes. Like Andy, Matt Davis clocked up 2 wins, but was distracted by money worries. Jimmy Bruni struggled with a lack of power from his Renault engine and managed one fortunate win. And André Lotterer was learning the circuits and occasionally shone well. Next year, Davidson is back with Carlin and will be the man to beat. And let's hope Robbie Kerr gets the chance to prove himself in the championship class. But what will happen to the Stewart Jaguar heritage? Now they are disbanding the F3 team.
GT cars are based on road cars, so it's not entirely illogical for them to be fitted with headlights. But using those headlights to light a dark track to race these awesome monsters is an entirely different thing. I've been finding out a little bit about what it takes.
Yeah, some of the circuit has got some light into it, and some is completely dark, and it's often into the apex of the corner on the exit. Cops is one of the worst corners because you turn in and it's fine, it's not badly lit here past the pits, but as soon as you turn in you can't see the exit of the corner, and a couple of times I've been out over the exit curb, so that's the concern really, that just those areas where you lose your lights mid-corner.
You visualise with things on the side of the circuit when you're driving in the daytime, and you can't see anything. So you tend to brake earlier than what you would do, and the times are okay. We're not where we want to be at the moment, but it's great fun out there. It's superb. It's good. It's a good day.
Now, I can only assume racing in the dark, you actually pick points for turning and braking, whatever, and obviously exiting the corner as well. Is that the same as on a bike?
Yeah, it is the same on the bike, but you can feel as well a little bit with your knee. When you're going through the corners, you actually put your knee on the ground, and if you're coming a little bit close to the curb, you can actually touch the curb with your knee. So you can feel how close the curb is, etc., etc. So it's quite a bit different, but it's the same principle, really. You know, once we're out in the race, so I've been quite looking forward to it. It's really good fun.
With the GT race due to be held at night, qualifying was in the dark as well on a dry and warm Friday evening. In the GT class, the Lister led the TVR and the Viper, but they weren't on pole. The stealth was. Terry Pudwell handing over his seat to series debutant Nigel Greensall.
I love racing at night, so I was really excited about this opportunity. And obviously in these conditions, the cars are much quicker than they are during the daytime hours because the engines breathe better, the tyres seem to work better. So the opportunity was there to go very quick.
That was the second Viper too, the Chamberlain car of Xavier Pompidou and Stephen Watson, challenging the black cars out front.
Well, it was actually Jack Cunningham of Chamberlain Motorsport's decision to do this race, and he asked myself and Xavier Pompidou, my teammate, to drive for him. We've both driven for him in the past, and I think Jack's out here just to showcase the team, really show them what we can do for prospective sponsors, and just do a professional job.
In the other Chamberlain Viper, Tim Harvey's eyes were on the team prize for the best qualifying performance of the season, and right at the end he put in a quick lap to go third overall and secure the title.
In GTO, the story was much as before. The champions, Burt and Franchitti, beat the short and Bath Tuscan by 0.4 of a second. Porsche team manager Paul Robe was sporting a new hair colour, the result of a bet with Marino Franchitti when he went blonde early in the season.
Great performance from Nigel Greensall to put the Stealth on its first series pole. The 3 regular black front-running cars next up, then the second of the Chamberlain Vipers, and behind them in 6th place the GT2 Porsche of Stokoe and Copse.
In GTO, there are 3 Porsches in the top 6 with 2 TVRs and the Hales Viper trying to break up the Stuttgart monopoly. We'll see all the action coming up on Motorsport on 4 after the break.
Welcome back to Motorsport on 4 and the final act of the 2001 Powertour Series, the 13th round of the Privilege Insurance British GT Championship. Now, so far this season, we've had 5 overall victors in GTO and 3 in GT. Are we going to make that 4 with a surprise pole position of the Stealth? It's over to Ben and Martin.
Thanks, Amanda. And the Stealth, fast certainly, but will it prove to be reliable? Well, conditions could hardly be better. Look, it's warm and dry and, well, a beautiful autumn moon. I'm waxing all lyrical. Here we come then, the cars behind the safety car, filing round in the darkness and then coming into that searing light down the front straight. The Stealth on pole, I like the sound of that, leading the Lister and the Vipers. Ian McKellar Jr. in the TVR as Bobby Verdenroe is on FIA GT duty for Lister in Spain this weekend. And Nigel Greensall makes a great start. Rob Wilson in the Viper right under his back bumper. And there is the Chevy V8 at the back of the Stealth that powered into pole. David Jones picking up a place in the darkness as we head, where's this, through Maggots up towards Beckett's. Takes a little bit of getting accustomed to, really, doesn't it, Ben?
Yeah, a very different view that we have this time, but good stuff from David Jones at the moment as he just tries to find a way through and gain another position. There is Matt Turner at the second of the par Porsche, Curtis Hales in the GTO Viper right behind him, and then Simmons in the Harlow Porsche. We saw Stephen Stokoe there into Abbey, and it's a bit hard to spot who's where, isn't it?
Certainly is, and if it's tough for us, it must be just as hard for the drivers. You can see the colours of the car in front of you, but using the mirrors, all you get is a blinding glare, particularly from the GT cars with their white headlights. The slightly kind of yellow lamps of the GTO cars make them easier to deal with and easier for the spectators to spot. There is Stokoe. Alongside him, we're on board with Jeff Lister. Lister white behind them. They've got the TVR of Richard Stanton and a biff there from the GT2 car. Stephen Stokoe not being particularly gentlemanly about pushing his way through there. So that battle continues. Here comes the TVR, Ian McKellar Jr., Rob Wilson behind in the Viper. McKellar used to drive that car with Bobby Verdenroe last season, of course, when it was a brand new machine. And out front, the white Viper is chasing, yes, it is chasing for the lead. Now, on the pit straight, you can actually see things here, courtesy of the bright lights, but look, very dark up by the apex of Copse, as we were hearing earlier on, and whoa, off into the gravel, Adam Simmons. Simmons, now you see, there's another problem. When you get off the race course, you have to try and find it again without being able to see anything through the side window. Well, there is the Stealth, and there is Xavier Pompidou in Hugh Chamberlain's second Viper, and Pompidou doing a great job. So too is Greensall. Both of these men series debutants in the British GT Championship and blowing away the opposition who've been racing here all year.
Yeah, but they're both very talented drivers. Let's just watch Xavier Pompidou here, coming through Priaulx, now into Brooklands, chasing the Stealth. You can hear the blip on the down change and chasing well at the moment. There goes Rob Wilson coming through now. He's in 4th place, some 10 seconds behind Ian McKellar.
Sounds strange, sounds like he's struggling to find the gears there. He's flipping the throttle all the way, loses a place to Dave Warnock as the Lister eases through. So Wilson drops to 5th place, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the pits before long. Second in GTO, Rob Bath in the TVR Tuscan, and his lights have gone off. Right behind Marino Franchitti leading the class, and look at that, he can't see a single thing, no assistance at all, and even following the car in front won't show him very much. With Jeff Lister going past the stricken car, chasing Stephen Stokoe still, so Lister picks up a GTO place. Now, what can he do about this? And don't forget, nobody will be able to see his car either until they're right on him and they see some reflection. Oh dear, Martin Short knows something's wrong. The car has not come round behind Franchitti's Porsche. Oh, right, he's got some rear lights, and that may be a real lifesaver now. He's got it fired up. Away he goes. He has headlights again. Wow, that must have been a scary moment. Oh dear, oh dear. They're flickering on and off. Something wrong in the electrical system there, no question about that. Dear, oh dear, trouble for them. But here come the race leaders, about to put a lap on the Quaif. It can see where it's going and stays out of the way. Nigel Greensill with Xavier Pompidou biting the back of the Stealth. He's so close to it. Really aggressive here. And Greensill, the leader, well, he's raced many times in the Daytona 24 hours, so darkness doesn't hold any fears for him.
Doing a good job at the moment, and this V8-powered Stealth really showing a handy pair of heels to the Viper at the moment. And what about the regulars in the series? They don't seem to be able to keep up with these two. It's great to have some new faces and new cars featuring at the front.
It looks different and it sounds different too, with a big grumbling V8 ahead of the rumbling V10. But think about races we've seen earlier in the year, Ben. These guys going off at such a speed. Are they in danger of damaging their tyres? Perhaps that's why the others are pacing themselves a little more.
Now we see Richard Stanton go through. Right behind him, Jeff Lister in a battle with Sean Balfe, and trying to get down the inside there. Doesn't quite make it. So these two Porsches still battling in the GTO class.
Jeff Lister driving the car, normally driven by Tim Sugden and Paul Matfield. Sugden, like Bobby Verdenroe, racing at Jarama in Spain in the FIA series, and I think that may be the end of the race for the Speed 6. Well, he's got lights on again now as he comes to the pit wall, but Martin Short offering some advice. He, after all, is the guy who builds this car.
It does look as though it's all over for them. It's a great shame. They've had some tremendous battles with Kelvin Burt and Marino Franchitti this year in that GTO class.
And you know what? They'll have it back in the workshop on Monday, and it'll be the tiniest little loose wire that has ruined an entire week or two of preparation for this final race of the season. So frustrating and all. Stephen Stocco spins out in the GT2 car. Well, everybody will know where he is because he's facing the wrong way and they'll see the headlamps. Luckily, he backs it out towards the gravel, gets going again. Richard Stanton now the sole remaining TVR Tuscanar.
Yeah, he's chasing Curtis Hales. Turner is just ahead as well. Coming down into Cops Corner, they've got a slower car ahead of them. That's Freddie Kinchin in the Marcos. They haven't managed to get past him. Matt Turner still looking for a way through as they head up and trying to defend his second place in class from the Hales Viper. Looking from, oh, there's contact there between the Marcos and the Porsche as they head up towards Beckett. And he now gets out of the way, Freddie Kinchin, or does he? Ooh, he almost shut the door again then on Richard Stanton.
Well, Nigel Greensill and Xavier Pompidou still running away with this race, braking heavily for Cops, and the safety car board is out. Now they'll have to make very certain that the safety car has got lots and lots of lights on, otherwise we may find drivers running into the back of unexpectedly slowing cars.
Now, it looks like Martin Short actually does want to get out in that TBR that's sitting by the pit wall. That's the reason that the safety car is out, and he wants to get back into this race. Meanwhile, Ian McKellar's coming in.
Well, McKellar, seeing the pit stop window is open, and there is a yellow flag caution, has come in to make the best use of that. I'm not sure that Martin Short can actually get out onto the racetrack and swap drivers. Certainly that won't count as their compulsory pit stop, so they will have to come in again. I'm not really sure what he's thinking of. Anyway, McKellar comes to a halt. Michael Caine will get in. This gives them a chance to make a less than normal pressurised pit stop, and in comes the Lister 2 as well. Good thinking by them.
Yes, making good use of this safety car period. You know, this could really hurt the top two cars, the Stealth and that White Viper, who have not come in under this safety car period, and perhaps that shows a little bit of inexperience of those teams. Great get away from Mike Jordan. He's got away in front of Michael Caine.
Yeah, another fabulous Lister pit stop. Here is the GT Viper, the first of the Chamberlain cars. Tim Harvey now at the helm of that one.
Dave, hard work out there?
It's dark. It's very dark. I thought they were going to lighten it up a bit round the back, but they haven't done really. So it's fortunately our lights were a little bit better today, and following the first couple of laps made it a bit easier because I could see where to go. So I don't know how far behind we went, but safety cars certainly helped. We shouldn't be that far away now. Good.
Into the pits comes the second Chamberlain car. Xavier Pompidou probably not being allowed to stop until they've serviced Tim Harvey and Rob Wilson's machine. In gets South African Stephen Watson, and he needs a good second stint. Oh, there's Matt Turner in trouble. car doesn't look like it's running on all four wheels properly. It's bumping up and down. I wonder if that's as a result of that knock with the markers. He may have damaged the suspension.
The safety cars come in. The Stealth is going to lead them away on the restart here, but that Stealth of Nigel Greensill did not stop under the safety car period. That's going to hurt them. But remember, Nigel is a fair bit quicker than his co-driver, Mark Pashley.
On the front stretch just behind him, Michael Caine following Mike Jordan through traffic. There's Charlie Cox in the GT2 Porsche. He's taken over from Stephen Stocco. Just holds up the Speed 12 for a moment or two. And Rob Barth, well, the car still going after this frightening moment, but he's in the pits with Amanda.
What happened?
It just kept stopping. There was a funny smell of burning, and it stopped coming through Priaulx. I sat there flicking all the relays and all the fuses, tried everything. Of course, with no power, I had no radio, so I couldn't radio back anything. It just came back into life, fired up, did another couple of laps, and then it just stopped again. Just coming down here, waited 30 seconds. I had to jump out of the car, being shouted at by Marshall. Oh, we haven't got any lights now either, so...
Are you sure it's wise to carry on?
No. If I'm in the pit lanes, that's all right.
Thanks.
Safest place to be, I think, rather than the Blinds TVR. Now, here is the Stealth. Nigel Greensill leading Mike Jordan right behind him, and Michael Caine in third place, also right up behind the V8 powered machine. Nigel Greensill taking a tight line out, though. He's coming into the pits to hand over. Well, that may not be the best time to do it. Perhaps he could have stayed out as long as possible while the pit stop window remained open. Still, in he comes this time, and there are yellow flags on the pit straight. So, although the Lister and the TVR lead the queue, it is a queue. They're going at less than racing speed. Well, that'll help mitigate against that problem.
Ed Horner speaks to his team boss, Paul Rowe, in the pit lane. We've seen Matt Turner stop. We're wondering if they can get it back to the pits. Doesn't look like it, though. It's being towed well out of the way.
Well, that's why there are yellow flags.
We've got a replay of what happened here from on board with Richard Stanton. And let's see if we can spot what happened. That was the contact between Matt Turner and Freddie Kinchin. And I think that was indeed, as you mentioned earlier, Martin, what caused their problem. And that's why that car's now out.
Looks like it was bouncing up and down on the right-hand side. Anyway, the safety car is now off again for the second time, restarting with the Lister leading from the TVR. So back to normal, if you like, the white Viper and the Stealth now no longer front runners here in this race. And the black machines, although we haven't seen very much of Tim Harvey since that pit stop, so the black Viper needs to make an appearance soon as well. With Steve Hyde still looking for that GTO podium finish.
Yeah, he's battling here with Mike Quaife in the Quaife itself. That still hasn't stopped in the pits, but it's a lap down on the leaders, and he couldn't pass on the way up to Maggotts. Leaders coming up into Abbey, and it's still Lister ahead of TVR and Viper.
Well, there is Tim Harvey. He has worked his way up the queue, and Godfrey Jones, who's taken over from twin brother David. Oh dear, Godfrey. Now, that is one of the problems of racing in the dark, is that you do lose your peripheral vision, you lose your braking points, and I think that's probably what happened there, Ben. He clouted the back of the Quaife. He's damaged his radiator, so he's out of the race as well.
Yeah, great shame for Godfrey Jones. Meanwhile, Mike Quaife is trying to get his car back on track. In fact, I think he's okay. There's a bit of damage to the back, but it might be all right. He's going to continue.
Well, he'll have to come into the pits fairly soon for his pit stop anyway, and they'll have a good look at that, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Tim Harvey applying pressure to the back of the TVR Speed 12 of Michael Caine. That's the battle for second. There is the white Viper of Stephen Watson in fourth place as they come to Abbey again. And no chance to make a move there for Harvey. Mike Jordan starting to ease away a little bit now. Down into Bridgebend, green flags, so no worry about overtaking here. Once they come into the complex, you can go for any gaps you see.
The blue car, second in the GTO class, under pressure from Steve Hyde, third in that class. And it's Porsche versus TVR Tuscan R. We've seen this battle so much throughout the year. Quick through Bridge Corner. He's got a good run. He's going to go down the inside and a good pass into Priaulx. Meanwhile, Amanda's with Matt Turner.
Now, I think you are the victim of a turquoise mark-off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Maybe the lighting's not good enough for us. I don't know what the excuse is. I'll give him every benefit of the doubt, but it's a shame. We were comfortably in second. All we needed to do was hold position, and I was really being careful, passing cars, and this was just, it was unacceptable, really. I don't understand why it ended up like it did.
Bad luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, his teammate Kelvin Burt leads in GTO, but he's bottled up behind Terry Reimer. The bike ace is a lap down, and Kelvin's been behind him for 9 laps. And cynically taps him as they go into the complex, or through the complex, spins him round, and now trying to restart the engine. The lights have gone off. And Terry Reimer, a dead duck, sitting right in the middle of the track. And the familiar flames out of the exhaust as it restarts. It looks very dramatic at night. I bet that's a little bit of a worry to Terry there as well.
Meanwhile, Martin Short is back in the pits. He's been black flagged for changing drivers on the track rather than in pit lane. It's all over, but doesn't seem too upset.
On board with Steve Hyde, under pressure for second in the GTO class from the GTO Viper. That's Stephen Day. Day looking inside through bridge. Scary stuff. He's got plenty of determination, really fired up here. And as Steve runs wide, Stephen goes down the inside into Brooklyn as he gets the place before Luffield. So good move by Stephen Day, holding that line nice and tight. Takes away second in class, and Steve Hyde back down to third, but I sense that one may not quite be over yet.
That battle continues, but this race is drawing to its conclusion now. And it looks like another great result for the Lister team. They're looking for their 7th win. With Mike Jordan, they're already the champions this year, and just onto the final lap now to make sure of this last victory at night at Silverstone.
Well, here Steve Hyde still going hard at it with Stephen Day. Right behind them is Mike Jordan, who looks set to become the race winner here. As you said, Ben, win number 7 of the championship. They've already tied up the driver's title for Dave Warnock and Mike Jordan, of course. And after a disappointing season in the European races, the FIA GT Championship, this success at home will be very welcome indeed for Lawrence Pierce's crew. 11 seconds up on the TVR. Mike Jordan won't bother himself trying to get into this GTO battle. Out of the last corner, Steve Hyde still chasing Stephen Day. Kelvin Burt about 3 seconds ahead to win the GTO class, but the battle for second will go all the way to the line. They just avoid being lapped. They'll need to complete that last lap, though, as Mike Jordan takes the win. They've only won the odd-numbered races this year. Next year they'll have to work on the even numbers. The TVR and Vipers next up.
Kelvin Burt and Marino Franchitti taking another victory in the GTO class, but a great drive today from Curtis Hales and Stephen Day to take second.
And that was a great one, because that was gloves up. All the quick guys were in the car. We got the new Viper there as well, and we kicked ass.
You enjoyed it then, a fitting end to a fitting season.
Thanks very much. It's been a fantastic season. Our sponsors, John Guest, Service they've been great guys. Paul here that's looked after the car all year, they've done a fantastic job at Lister. The car's been stunning this weekend, even without Lawrence being here, I have to say.
I paced it a little bit, but we were struggling a little bit for grip. The circuit was, well, it's difficult to see the state of the circuit because it's quite dark around the back there, but yeah, we were struggling a little bit for grip, quite a lot of oversteer there, but provided I didn't have to fight too hard, I would have been okay.
Final points table, the champions ease further away from the Viper crew, and last year's champ Callum Lockie in 7th.
In the GTO class, Burt and Franchitti confirmed champions, but Turner and Horner still held on to runner-up position despite the non-finish.
Well, the moment has come. We've come to the end of the season. Tim, it has been a great year for the Formula 3s, hasn't it?
Well, it certainly has. We have more cars than we've ever seen before, and at the beginning of the year it looked like we had more race winners as well, but at the end of the day the favourite came through, and who knows, we may see Takuma Sato in Formula 1 next year.
I think he definitely was a worthy champion. Thanks, Tim. And Michael, GTs, what do you make of it all?
Well, somebody needs to break the back of the Lister Storms, and obviously to par they did extremely well with the Porsches. I think we're all looking forward to next season now.
And you've enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been great.
Great stuff. Well, that's it from us, but we are going to be back in about 6 months' time when the whole thing kicks off again here on Channel 4. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
It's the Rally Masters next week at 11 o'clock, and in just a moment, Ford's loading the paintballs for Crossfire.